in the sun. 1994, all the fun. My team said to me, you're the one. The keeper said to Zola, you're dead when this is over, and you're out until October. Zola, Zola. Well, the haters said to Zola, could you be any slower? 'Cause he left them on the floor. Zola, Zola. The keeper said to Zola, you're dead when this is over, and you're out until October. Zola, Zola. Well, the haters say it was a fake game. Could you be any slower? 'Cause he left them on the floor. Maybe not for you, maybe not for me. What?
That's good. That's Gerry Band, Wonder Villains. That's a song called Zola. Now, I've been playing that for a long time, and I've just learned that that's going to be playlisted on Radio 1, so that may be a hit. I always thought it had hit potential, so that could be a hit. That's Zola. Have a look out for that. Good morning, Gerald McAllisterson here. Number to ring if you want to contact this programme is 08459 555 678. Email address is gerry.anderson@bbc.co.uk. Text messaging service for those of you who perhaps shouldn't have done as well as you should have. It's 81771. Talking to Jimmy Ellis in a moment about the Billy plays. They're going to be shown again starting at Sunday night. Very interesting. I watched one of them last night and watched a little documentary about them. Excellent. We'll be talking about that later. But other material here. A gentleman writes to me and he said, Dear Puppet Chin, Dear Friday Puppet Chin. Not much to report this week except for the fact that nobody made a Groundhog Day joke about your programme yesterday. Yesterday, of course, was Groundhog Day, implying that all these programmes are the same. I missed that one myself, but I see that a new giant deep-sea crustacean has been discovered near New Zealand. Scientists are baffled as to how this creature can survive in such a harsh environment where the temperature is almost zero. There's virtually no daylight and not very much worth eating. Well, it sounds like Lurgan. I now apologise in advance. Where many life forms would still manage to exist, well, sort of. I hope you're not talking about the estate. Perhaps they should name the new creature Lurganus maximus shrimpius miserabilis. Not real Latin, but, an approximation. My older brother grew up in Lurgan, and he once told me that all his childhood memories are in black and white. Well, so are mine. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. There was a time, you see, it all depends. Well, it all depends what year you were born in. If he was born in the 70s or 80s and all his childhood memories are in black and white, that's a bad idea. But I was born in, I'm not going to tell you when I was born, but I was growing up, say, in the late 50s. Well, everything was black and white then. There was no colour. I remember thinking to myself, I didn't think this to myself. I remember reading later on, I think it was John Peel who once said that at that time, if you wanted a red shirt, you had to fly to Naples, which I thought was quite extreme. But I don't remember any colour at all in my childhood because everything was grey. There was no colour. Cars were grey. Ships were grey. Water was grey. Grass was green. Sorry, I forgot about that. And another gentleman writes to me, and he seems to be in some kind of mental turmoil. His name is Graham. He says, I write to you from the west wing of the Royal Glasgow Infirmary for those unable to use the telephone. That's a particularly serious disease and it's spreading. I have a question which I'm sure your wealth of experience will allow a quick and erudite answer. For instance, I have whisked in here, in the sump of a motor car engine, now neatly secreted under my bed, a more than sufficient supply of strong camp coffee. I hope that's a capital C. And in a bicycle inner tube, I have likewise hung surreptitiously over my cot, who would suspect, I have a limitless supply of cocodamol. Send in the cocodamols. There ought to be cocodamols to supplement the less than ample supply on offer by the nurse. There is a suspicion that the National Health Service are cutting down on cocodamols. There ought to be cocodamols. Send in the cocodamols. I have already supped my 3 gallons of coffee, but I'm still unable to get that wee effect you would appreciate and have come but close to accurately describing on 2 occasions only. Any advice for an old soldier? Well, you're obviously not using your cocodamols properly, because cocodamols should be used when there's nothing wrong with you to have the desired effect. P.S. I've also sneaked in my own bag of coal in case the severe cold snap should guide the nurses to turn off the heating as they normally do. I have that hidden under my pillow. I rest assured they'll never find it there. Oh, they're cute, those nurses, in many ways, more ways than one.
This song really about nothing.
Talk properly, for God's sake.
That's exactly what it's about, kind of nothing.
I can't lose what I never had, and you
can't take what I ain't got. When I'm happy, you won't make me sad. Depending on y'all, well, I'm not. 'Cause I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left. It's true. When I'm down, I just get up. When I'm down, well, I stand up. Been down many times, well, you know it's true. I haven't had a red dime between me and you. 'Cause I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left. 'Cause I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left. Yes, I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left. Okay, now here goes. Oh, weep for me now. One more time now. There we go. Wait. Well, I started out with nothing, and I still got most of it left. Yes, I started out with nothing, and I still got most of it left. If it all fell apart today, I could just walk, get on down the street. I ain't worried where I'm gonna sleep. I could always find some food to eat. 'Cause I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left. Well, I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left. Most of it left. Got most of it left. Most of it left. Because I started out with nothing and I still got most of it left.
That's Seasick Steve, better known in this programme as Seasick Willie, or indeed, sorry, Sick Bag Willie. Right, now, starting on Sunday, well, let's just say before we talk about that the most successful plays ever put on BBC, Northern Ireland in particular, and I don't know about the network, were the Billy plays, which were on in 1982, 83 and 84, I think, if I'm correct. First one was called Too Late to Talk to Billy, the second was A Matter of Choice for Billy, and the third one was called A Coming to Terms for Billy. So they've been repeated, and I'll tell you more about that later. But Jimmy Ellis is with me. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm very well, and how are you, Gerry?
I couldn't be better.
Good.
Now, there's a documentary about the Billy plays, and it's called Talking to Billy, and it's on Sunday night, BBC 2 at 9 o'clock. I watched that last night. Have you had a chance to see
It's
that?
on BBC Two.
Yes, on Sunday night.
What do you mean? BBC Two? Does that? That's you don't mean BBC.
BBC 2 Northern Ireland.
Oh, BBC Two. Oh, yeah. BBC Two.
It's BBC 1 Northern Ireland and BBC 2 Northern Ireland.
Ah.
You're thinking that maybe perhaps the only Northern Ireland thing is BBC 1.
Ah.
No.
yeah.
BBC 2 as well.
All right.
It's on at 9 o'clock, and then on BBC 2 at 9:30, they're showing the first of the Billy plays, Too Late to Talk to Billy. And of course, you're a towering figure. You're the man that overlooked the whole thing.
Oh, right.
Did you see the documentary?
I've seen the documentary, and I have to say, I think it's brilliant.
So do I.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, I watched it with my wife, and we could only watch it on a computer, you know.
Sure.
But it was wonderful.
Yeah. And one of the good things about it was that you're plainly very emotional at times during that. There's one particular time when you and Breege Brennan, who plays the part of your daughter.
Yeah, who was wonderful.
Great. And the two of you recently are walking down this particular street, right?
Yeah.
The kind of street, I'm not quite sure what street it was, but the kind of street that the Martin family would have lived in.
That would have been Coolderry Street.
Kilderick Street. And you're walking down and you stop and you look in the window and there is you 30 years ago having a row in the front room with the family. And it was projected onto that.
Yeah.
And did they actually do that, or were you acting to react to it?
No, Claire.
Because I didn't think so. Claire
who
Delargy.
directed the film, did this, and she said, I'm gonna. She said, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to have a little surprise for you. She said, I just want you to stop opposite that window and look in. And she said, I'm not revealing, but you will be looking into your own house. But I'm not going to show you it. She said, but you will see it on the spot. And she said, I just want you to react naturally to it. Yeah. And I thought that was another brilliant stroke.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that, I said, it didn't occur to me that you'd actually seen that. It occurred to me that it had been projected later.
No.
And I said to myself, Jimmy Ellis, the old rogue. The old rogue, I said, he's reacting to a window and he sees nothing. And then I looked at it and said, no, he's not. He's genuinely moved by whatever he sees there. So he must see what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So you can confirm that you actually did see
Yeah,
that.
she did that.
In case people are thinking that you're acting. Now, I also watched the first, that's the documentary, of course, which is on at 9 o'clock. I urge people not to miss that because it puts the whole thing in context.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I watched the Billy plays, the first one last night, and I was expecting it to be dated. It's not. It's different, but it's not dated.
Oh, I have seen it. I saw it at the Oma Arts Centre, funnily enough, somewhere quite in between. And Rubina, my wife, was very moved by it. And that's not all that long ago.
No.
But it wasn't available from the BBC at that time. But somehow somebody managed to get permission from the BBC to show it. Is it privately or?
It was the Struhl Arts something, the place up there, and they showed the three of them, didn't they?
Yes, it did. And Rubina said she thought that was the best thing I'd ever done.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's up there. Yeah, I do really, and because I think it covered a wider emotional range, and it was although people might might think I have a side to me that is like that. I don't.
No, that's not you.
It's not me at all.
No, absolutely.
So I had to project myself into this character. It being a Belfast man, I would have known, of course, I would have known the type. My father wasn't like that at all, or none of our family.
And in the documentary, they weren't sure about whether or not you could play a hard man because the people who were involved in that knew the real you, and they weren't sure that you could play a hard man, and you had an unusual way of showing them how you could do it.
Yeah. Well, my father actually, in a strange sort of a way, when I got into my first fist fight, at school, it just so happened that I was, my opponent was a member of a boxing family who lived quite near us.
Not a good idea.
And I've since met him, it's quite funny. And we shook hands, and growing up, we were completely different to where we were when we were kids. God knows what the fight was about. But anyway, I did get into quite a number of fights. But the first fight I got into, when I'd taken a bit of a pasting, and my mother couldn't wait to say, look at the state of him, and father said, let's have a look at him. I said, no. And anyway, there was a bit of dialogue between father and son, and that Saturday he took me down, I think it was Woolworths, and bought me a punch ball, which he strung from the scullery, the door to the floor. And when he came back with this, my mother was appalled, What are you doing? And then he got down on his knees and said, now I want to show you how to use this punch ball.
Right.
He said, you know, so he showed me and how to get out of the way or block it when it rebounded. But he said, well, that's a start. And he said, now I want you to sort of, I'll get down to be your size. And he said, I want you to sort of try and catch me anywhere around the face, the chin, you know. Right. And I was ready to burst into tears, you know.
Yeah.
And my mother was coming in.
What's going on here?
Hysterical, what's going on? Anyway, so he gave me a very thorough, because I wasn't the man my father was certainly at that age. But somehow quite early on, because of my father was definitely, no question, a shipyard man.
Was he like Norman?
Not at all. Not in any way. He was an absolute gentleman. He actually said once to me, he said, if you do get into a fight, he said, if you ever reach for anything other than your fists, he said, you'll be no son of mine. He said, and he quoted something about the only decent warfare is with the fists.
Yeah.
And he said, if you happen to be on the winning side and your opponent's on the floor, he said, pick him up, shake hands, and that should be the end of it. And so, you know, he was, in that extent. He always raised his hat to ladies, or his cap if he was wearing that. And he was actually known, but he was also very capable of handling himself, which was very important in the shipyard.
If necessary.
But no, I didn't draw on anything from my father to do with Norman. There were men who lived around the area who were like that. Apart from anything else, my father never touched a drop of drink.
Well, you see, the funny thing about Norman, not the funny thing about Norman, but what actually comes across, and I think somebody mentions this in the documentary, is that Norman was unusual. And he had two problems. He had a problem with drink.
Yes.
And he had a problem with being a hard man.
Oh, yeah, he did.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think the hard man bit came naturally to him. The drink, I think...
No, but he had a problem being a hard man. For instance, do you remember the time, obviously, and this is the most moving part in the whole first thing, when he's drunk and he comes in and the two wee girls are wonderful. The two wee girls are great, such actresses.
Oh, they're wonderful, yeah.
And he wants to know why the wee girls won't kiss him. Good night.
Yeah.
And they run away, of course, and they're terrified. And he's standing there, kiss me, kiss me. It's like, you're all their fathers. And then the wee girl comes down and kisses him. And what an emotional moment. That's great moment.
I tell you, I often say this, that if I had been a film star or whatever, although I've had some love scenes in my time, you know.
Wish I had a couple. Go ahead.
No, anyway, I rate that little kiss from Tracy, which she was so brilliant. And I went over to Paul Seed, the director, and I said I had to pull all the tablecloth off with all the dishes all over the floor. Right. And I said to Paul, very quietly, I thought, I said, Paul, whatever happens, do me a favour, would you? Keep going.
Yeah.
Because I said it would be very difficult to do this scene.
There's going to be one take for
with
this.
With a break. She said, if you can manage it. And she said, you need a little retake. She said, well, I'm sure we can arrange that. But could you just keep going no matter what happens? So at this point, little Tracy came over. I said, took my hand and said, don't worry, Jimmy. I won't let you down. Because she'd been very shy before that. Once or twice she said, my daddy would be jealous, me sitting on your knee. And I sort of thought they're lovely, innocent, quiet little girls, both of them, you know. And
but what about the way they delivered their lines?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's wonderful.
Listen, we'll play a bit of music now. We've loads to talk about. Okay?
Yeah.
Back in a minute. Except that I have no record on there. There it is.
I wish I was in Carrickfergus, only for the nights in Ballygrand. I would swim over the deepest ocean just to see my love again. But the sea is wide and I cannot swim over, nor have I the wings to fly. I wish I could meet a handsome boatman to carry me on my love to sea. In Kilkenny, it is reported they've got marble stones there as black as ink, with gold and silver.
Oh, our CD's jumping there. Sorry about that, Jimmy. See, it goes to show you, no matter what you do, nothing works. One of the things that I thought was interesting about that, I mentioned it before about the Billy plays, the first one, the one that's going to be on Sunday night at 9:30 on BBC Two, which is too late to talk to Billy. I watched it last night. It's not dated,
No.
but it's different. It's different than what you see now. And I can't put my finger on what it was, and I think I know what it was. Because apart from yourself, you had a lot of experience acting on television. The rest of them had done mostly theatre.
Yeah.
Isn't that true? Is that fair to say that?
Yes, mind you,
So they were actually-
before I did television, I did nothing but theatre.
But you had 20 years of television under your belt by the time
Oh,
you
I
did
did, yeah, by that
So,
time.
so you knew how to do that, but not
Yeah.
everybody knew how to do it. So it was a bit theatrical. For
Yeah.
instance, Billy's girlfriend's mother,
Yeah.
and she would say, "Putting on the television.
Ah, yeah.
I'm putting on the television now."
Yeah.
And it was very actory, so it's kind of theatrical in many ways.
Yeah.
But that's interesting to watch that. And then you're more televisual because you know how to do it. Now, Kenneth Branagh, of course, that's the first thing he ever did.
That's right.
He was brilliant in it.
Oh, I know, he was absolutely.
He was frightening in a way because you thought he was just going to fall apart at any minute.
Yeah, no. He stayed with his uncle. Are we?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he stayed with his uncle. And he was very funny. He said, my uncle's idea of breakfast. He said, when I come down, he said, he's a docker, so he's gone to his work.
Uh-huh.
And he leaves on the table a big, doorstep. You know what I mean? A
Yeah.
double decker
Yeah.
slice, double bread, with the old plain loaf,
I know, yeah.
with a big lump of cheese in it. And a bottle of Guinness. And he said, that's my uncle's idea of breakfast.
He left that for Branagh, did he?
Yeah. So he was laughing, but he said, the reason I'm staying with my uncle is, he said, of course, he's a docker. So he said, every time I go back home, he said, my uncle is, so, well, what do you do today? And so Ken was no fool from the word go, and he loved his granny as well.
Was his granny still in Belfast?
Yeah, his granny was still in Belfast then.
yeah. But the good part about I thought the interesting thing about that was the little girls. You see, Ken, of course, had been gone from Belfast for quite a time. It was his last year in RADA, Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, and he had this plummy English accent, which he developed, which is what you do.
Yeah.
But so he reverted back to his Belfast accent. But between takes, he was still being English Ken,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the wee girls would say to him, "It's time for another take, Ken." And he would say, "Wind your neck in, wind your neck in."
Yeah.
So they would slag him about his English accent. Wasn't that must have been brilliant?
Yeah.
And so he went on to greater things then. But his father didn't want him to do that. play at the beginning.
I never knew that.
That's true, because I was reading about that the other day, and his father wasn't quite sure if it was right for him to do the first time, because he thought do you know what his father said? He said there's too much truth in it.
Too much truth.
Exactly, and he didn't think that was a good idea to start off telling the truth.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Because it might be held against you. And one of the girls who is interviewed in the course of the documentary said a very interesting thing. She said, the thing that's interesting about the Billy plays now when you watch them is that only the houses have changed, the people haven't. Talking about now. What do you think? Do you think the people have changed? Now, the people in Belfast now, are they different? I don't think they're much different than they were when that.
No, I don't
think the
think-
old sectarian thing is still there, and there's still tension. You know, it's still there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, even when I came over on the plane, it's more light-hearted now because
They're still there, though.
I think the troubles have sobered people down a little bit. But it was a lovely family who came over. But it was just a little jokey thing. But one of the sisters had married a Murphy. And I can't remember whether it was her sister or something. She said, one time I said there would be no Murphys in our house. I said, what, you mean there'd be no Spuds?
No, not
anyway,
Spuds.
I hope I'm not misquoting her, but
Not at all. Jimmy, we're going to the news now. Will you stay for a little while after?
of course I will.
We'll be back after the news.
On 92 to 95 FM,
and 1341 medium wave.
this is BBC Radio Ulster.
At the news desk at 11 o'clock, this is Sabrina Sweeney. The Energy Secretary, Chris Huhne, has resigned. In the last hour, he's been charged over allegations he dodged a speeding penalty. He's suspected of passing the penalty points to his then wife, Vicky Price, who's also been charged with perverting the course of justice. Mr Huhne responded by saying he denied the charges, but was resigning from the Cabinet to concentrate on his defence.
I'm innocent of these charges and I intend to fight this in the courts, and I'm confident that a jury will agree. So as to avoid any distraction to either my official duties or my trial defence, I am standing down and resigning as Energy and Climate Change Secretary.
A Lurgan man who was once accused of murdering the Sunday World journalist Martin O'Hagan has been jailed for 3 years. Neil Hyde admitted 48 offences linked to Loyalist Volunteer Force activity. Hyde has agreed to give evidence against former LVF colleagues in return for a lighter sentence. Kevin Sharkey was in court.
Neil Hyde, who is 32 and from Lurgan, had signed a contract to help the police in return for a reduced sentence for 48 LVF-linked offences. Judge Patrick Lynch sentenced him to 18 years in court today. But the sentence was immediately cut because of a 75% reduction for agreeing to help the police investigation into Mr O'Hagan's murder, and a further one-third was cut for pleading guilty. The sentence could be less than 3 years when time spent in custody already is taken into account.
A County Armagh haulage company is to shut down with the loss of more than 50 jobs. Noel Zwecker International Transport, based near Armagh, had been in business for more than 40 years. A spokesman for the family-run firm blamed rising fuel costs and the economic downturn for the decision to close. Well, it's time now for a sport update with Denise Watson.
The Football Association is set to remove the England captaincy from John Terry until at least the conclusion of his trial for allegedly racially abusing QPR's Anton Ferdinand, a charge the Chelsea defender denies. Meanwhile, the Manchester United goalkeeper Anders Lindegaard will be out for at least 4 weeks. He has an ankle injury. England have bowled out Pakistan for just 99 inside 45 overs on the first day of the final test in Dubai. Stuart Broad took 4 for 36 and James Anderson 3 for 35. Golf and play is still suspended during the second round of the Qatar Masters. John Daly leads on 5 under par. Michael Hoey played 10 holes and is 2 over for the event. Gareth Maben 3 over after 5 and Graham McDowell 1 over after his first round. Finally, rugby and Ireland's Six Nations opener against Wales on Sunday will be live across BBC television, radio and online.
And now the weather forecast with Angie Phillips.
Another cold day with highs only reaching around 4 or 5 Celsius, and many of us will gradually lose the sunshine too as cloud drifts in from the Atlantic. Still a few bright spells for the east where it should stay dry, but light rain will spread into the west and may fall as sleet or wet snow for a time on the hills. A touch of ground frost perhaps this evening, but temperatures will rise overnight when most parts will catch some patchy rain.
BBC News.
BBC Radio Ulster. Travel news. An accident on the Antrim Road in North Belfast has now been cleared from the junction with Duncairn Gardens, so traffic should be back to normal there. On to roadworks, the Braniel Road in Lisburn remains closed between the Hillhall Road and the Tully Yard Road, and in Bangor you can expect delays on the Rathgale Road at the junction with the Clandyboy Road. That's until around 4 p.m. this afternoon. In County Tyrone, work continues on the A32 Tumry Road near Dromore. Traffic controls and a 40 miles an hour speed limit are in place. Anne Jordan reporting. Travel news on BBC Radio Ulster.
Well, we're joined by one of Jimmy Ellis's old neighbours, Wendy Austin.
What a really nice surprise to find Jimmy up here.
Yeah.
It's just terrific.
You were
And
neighbours.
looking so
You were
well.
neighbours, were you?
We were. When I was growing up, we lived in Mount Charles, near Queen's University there, down the side of what used to be the club bar. And my dad had his dental surgery in our house. We were the very bottom house in Mount Charles at the Botanic Avenue end. And Jimmy lived in one of the big kind of 4-storey buildings up at the top, which were in apartments. And I used to see him hanging out the window in his Simmet trying to get the kids in for their tea. And Doreen Hepburn lived in the same building.
Yeah, she lived for a while next door.
Forget about talkback. We'll just go out and have a drink. And
And
talk about all
John
that stuff.
Hewitt, the poet,
John Hewitt. And
lived a few doors
he
down.
did, and actually I did. The time I did that, remember I did a wee programme and spoke to you, Jimmy, about living in Mount Charles.
Oh, yeah,
It was a
yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah.
But I actually went and interviewed John Hewitt, and it wasn't that long before he died.
No.
John
who
Hewitt,
else?
of course, not to be confused with the actor.
No,
The actor
John
who's in
Hewitt.
the
No,
Kelly plays.
no.
No, the poet.
It's very sad to watch that and see John, know, and dear old Mark Mulholland.
Of course, yeah.
Oh,
Mark,
it's such a shame,
Mark was a
isn't
great
it?
fan of this programme. Mark used to ring up here all the time. Used to come in for the crack. Anyway, Wendy, what's on the
On
programme
Talkback,
today?
oh yes, sorry about that. Ballysally Estate, the residents are biting back. They say they're sick of being called Ballyscally, and we're asking, is the programme fair? John Terry's been stripped of his England captaincy this morning, and Chris Huhne has resigned from the government, the former Energy Secretary now, so we're asking, innocent till proven guilty? I mean, should that have been the case? Should they have been left where they are?
My greatest fear is that I'll be stripped of my honours.
You're gone. Or should they both have been given their marching orders long ago? It is Talkback after all. And you've a dog, haven't you?
I had one, but it passed away.
Has it? Well, if you'd still had it and your house had been on fire and you had got out, would you have gone back in for it?
Yes,
Like
I know.
that lady
I know.
did last night?
The police and the firemen are saying never do that, but I would.
I would have as well,
Yeah,
you see.
yeah.
She did it last night. She was found unconscious. Now, luckily, she and the dog were both brought out alive. The Fire and Rescue Service say it could have proved fatal. She should have stayed out, that a pet's life's not worth a human life. But we're asking, would you go back for your dog?
I would, yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't leave Sammy behind in our case. So,
Well, whatever you call it. Thank you, Wendy.
be nice to this man now.
I will indeed.
Someday we'll build a home on a hilltop high. You and I, shiny and new, a cottage that two can fill, and we'll be pleased to be called the folks who live on the hill. Someday we may be adding a wing or two, a thing or two. We will make changes as any family will, but we will always be called the folks who live on the hill. Our veranda will command a view of meadows green, the sort of view that seems to want to be seen. And when the kids grow up and leave us, we'll sit and look at that same old view, just we two, baby and Joe, who used to be Jack and Jill, the folks who like to be called what they have always been called, the folks who live on the hill.
Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came down in the hollow, playing a new game, laughing and a running, hey, hey, skipping and a jumping in the misty morning fog with all our hearts a thumping, and you, my brown-eyed girl. And whatever happened to Tuesday and so slow, gone down the old man with a transistor radio, standing in the sunlight laughing, hiding behind a rainbow's wall, slipping and sliding all along the waterfall with you, my brown-eyed girl. Girl, do you remember when we used to sing sha la 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 da, just like that, sha la 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 da. The other day, my, you have grown. Cast my memory back there, Lord. Sometimes I'm overcome thinking about making love in the green grass behind the stadium with you, my brown-eyed girl. You, my brown-eyed girl. Remember when we used to sing sha la 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 la
Van Morrison, of course, appropriate enough. Van Morrison is appearing in Belfast tonight after a long absence. And before that, we had Peggy Lee, the folks who live on the hill. I'm still talking to Jimmy Ellis. He's going to stay with us for a little while. Much more to come. Great new band, some live music from them in a moment, called No Picture Policy. Jimmy, thanks for staying. Thank you for staying. Now, the Talking to Billy is a documentary. It's on Sunday night at BBC Two Northern Ireland at 9 p.m, which is a kind of an introduction to the whole Billy Plays thing. And Too Late to Talk to Billy, the first play is on Sunday night at 9:30, and then the second one, A Matter of Choice for Billy, is on Sunday week, February the 12th at 9 o'clock, and then the last one, A Coming to Terms for Billy, is on February 19th, BBC Two at 9 o'clock, so you can see all three of them. They're about an hour and a half long each, aren't they, Jimmy? Isn't that it?
Pardon?
About an hour and a half long each, aren't they? So quite long.
No, yes, they are.
They're feature length. Feature
I'm
length.
not sure. They start at 9:30, don't they?
Yeah, no, it's the first one's an hour and a half anyway. I'm sure the other two.
Yeah, it might be. Well, I don't know.
And also, why would you know? You were only in them.
I was what?
You were only in them. How would you know?
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Now, there's also a radio series starting next Monday called Let's Talk About Billy. It's on every morning from Monday to Friday from 5 to 12 in the morning. At the end of this programme, from 5 to 12 to 12, it's a 5-minute recollection of people who were affected by the plays, the people who saw them and what it meant to them. Because do you have any sense, Jimmy, of how people reacted in England? I mean, you obviously went back to England immediately after you did those. Did people say anything to you because they were on on national television?
Oh yes, yeah. I mean,
this wasn't just a Northern Ireland programme.
A very, very, very strong reaction, because everybody knew me from other things, you know. From the so people would come up to me and say that was a marvelous play. But in fact, just to illustrate one of the things, I was actually walking along.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Walking along Chiswick High Road, which is near where I was, and suddenly found myself. I didn't think it was being mugged, but I thought, "Oh dear, here comes trouble." And these three lads came up, grabbed hold of each arm, and saw that play, you know, and the Cockney lad said, "You're just like my dad." And there was a Scottish lad who said, "You're just like my father." And then there was a Welsh boy. I don't trust myself to try okay. But anyway, he said, same here, you're just like my," he said. And he said they were wonderful, but they were only the tip of the iceberg from a tremendous reaction. And I'll never understand why, considering it was a turning point in Ken Branagh's career and a turning point in mine as well at the time, why the BBC have not seen fit to capitalise on it.
You mean more plays about ordinary life in Northern Ireland as opposed to things to do with the Troubles?
Yes, well, that I thought they became obsessed by the Troubles.
Well, of course.
And the only time they recognised
and then the people were turned off by anything from Northern Ireland because they were fed up looking at the Troubles.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
Yeah,
so the thing about
but I mean, it was down to W.D. Flack and
W.D. Flax.
Flack, yeah.
W.D. Flax.
Yeah.
Now this was the first time that
what's his name? Cole.
John Cole.
John Cole. Yeah. Now, they, of course, had more coverage than anybody else, but because it was to do with the Troubles, I think it was better drama to the...
And also, it was the first time that anyone got an insight into the Protestant working class lifestyle in Belfast.
But what was interesting about... I used to think even English writers exploited that situation for their own purposes, whereas Graham Reid chose to write a play
that was about his people. And
really was skirting the Troubles, not ignoring them at all.
Yeah, but there was very little about the Troubles in those plays.
Yeah, very little.
It was a backdrop.
It was a backdrop.
Yeah. And I love the part when the UDA guys are parading.
Yeah.
In your manner.
Yeah.
And you just walk through them and just knock them
That's right,
away.
yes.
Because you're a local man.
Yeah, and he actually he didn't have any. He hadn't no time for them. And of course, he could have handled himself with any of this lot.
Okay, Jimmy, we could talk about this all day. Just before we go, Derek, there's a lot of messages coming in. Derek Lord, pass on my best
Well,
wishes
Derek,
to Jimmy.
did Derek not play the hard man in one of the episodes?
Oh, really? Really?
I think he did. I may be wrong about that, but I mean, I thought there was a time when Billy and his father came together. Billy noticed his father was in a bit of trouble because I think there was about 3 of them, of which Derek Lord was the leader, I think.
Yeah.
Now, correct. Derek can correct
He did,
me.
you're right. I'm told that you're right. It was him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I return his good wishes and remember him well.
Ryan from Lurgan wants to know, he said, we're having a debate here. Was Jimmy Ellis in one of the last Only Fools and Horses?
Yes, I was.
He wants to know what it was like.
Well, it was a very nice. It was filmed actually. Mostly, my bit was filmed in Cherbourg, not Cali, Cherbourg.
Cherbourg, yeah.
Yes, and it was about an old comrade of. Was it Frank? Oh dear, the lovely old boy.
The old fella.
The old fella.
Yeah, Granda.
Yeah, and he'd been a comrade, and for some reason he'd come down. I can't remember the details now. But he'd come down for some ceremony and
you were the mate.
Found himself facing the mayor.
Margaret Richardson wants your autograph, and she's from Lisburn. She says she thinks you're fabulous. Tell Jimmy I was asking about him. Gerry, I still think about him. He would know me as Inez Elliott. Inez Elliott.
Inez Elliott, yes.
And on a negative note, Vincent from Glengormley says, I lent Jimmy Ellis money for a coffee in a cafe on Lombard Street in the 60s. He said he'd give it to me back. I'm still waiting.
Is that anonymous?
Vincent from Glengormley. His phone number is there. Ring him up and throw the money at him.
Yeah.
Jimmy, thank you very much for coming in.
No, it's always a pleasure.
I could talk to you all day.
And I mean, it's a pleasure to talk to you, Gerry.
For God's sake.
You're one of the best at this.
No, and thank you for looking after me in the Undertone when we went over to see you in England. We did a wee documentary about you, which went down. I hope you heard that. It went down extremely well. People loved it.
Oh, yeah.
So the Billy plays Sunday night, starting on Sunday night, 9:30 in the documentary.
I wonder how much that cup of coffee would cost now. It would have gone up a bit.
I think you're talking a £5 now, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And just give me an open check. I'll fill in the amount myself.
You fill it in.
Jimmy, thank you very much.
Okay.
Good luck to you, and you're looking great.
Everything to you. You say you want to start something new, and it's breaking my heart you're leaving. Maybe I'm grieving, but if you want to leave, take good care. Hope you have a lot of nice things to wear, but then a lot of nice things turn bad out there. Oh baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. I'll always remember you like a child, girl. You know I've seen a lot of what the world can do, and it's breaking my heart in two, because I never want to see you sad, girl. Don't be a bad girl, but if you want to leave, a lot of bad and beware. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. I'll always remember you like a child girl. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. And it's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. And I'll always remember you like a child girl.
The hunter awaits beyond the barred roof, beyond the treetops. He watches and listens, just like the man in the moon. We're off to the soaring skies and the magic of the night. Step aboard this journey to Orion.
That was a confection by Willie Drennan from his album, which is called Orion. Jimmy Ellis is gone. God bless him. What a great, great talker and what a great actor and what a great person. We're joined today by a band, one of my favourite bands, although this is the first time I met them. They're called No Picture Policy. And Mark, we've got Carissa on piano. Hello. Hello. Mark on guitar. And sorry, I've written this down. Matthew on bass. Oh, God bless you. I'm an old bass player myself. Paddy on nothing. Paddy is sitting on a crate, which is percussion. Yeah. All right. Mark, tell me, where are you from?
We are from Lurgan. All of us are from Lurgan.
No, I heard you had a record. Is it a record or is it a demo disc or what was it? That song you did, Bubbles.
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, it was just, we didn't know what it was. It was just a recording. We met this guy called Danny, who's a producer, and we begged him to produce us. We were like, this would be good fun.
Uh-huh.
And then he made us go and like sit outside with the guitar, me and the guitar, Paddy on his drum, just sing him a song. And I think the song wasn't much quality, but because of he just thought we were fun guys. He's like, right, let's do a song. So we've done it, and then it's played on the radio. Happy times.
Good, yeah, okay. Well, do you want to do something for us now and we'll chat later?
Yep, that's fine.
What are you going to do? Are these all your own stuff?
These are all our own, yeah.
Okay. And who's the songwriter?
That would be me.
You say.
So the guys write music as well.
Do they help?
They help with music.
So, and what about Chris? Does the girl help too?
I've just joined, so.
All right. So what's this song then?
This song's called I Need You.
Okay. Go ahead. That's very nice. That's a nice sound, Dan. Now, when I first heard the record you sent me, in a Belfast accent, I said, well, probably not. It's a Northern Ireland accent. He said, is that Rory McIlroy's new single? And it's amazing how people, half people think it's a good idea to sing in your own accent, and the other half are quite embarrassed by it. Isn't that very immature in many ways? Because nobody ever says that about Van Morrison.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's the thing that frustrates us sometimes. Well, when you see other bands and they're singing like they're from New York or something,
or Deep South, even worse.
Yeah, because we like when I first started writing songs ever, I would have sang it like I was from Manchester trying to be Liam Gallagher, and then I remember going to see Brian Houston for the first time. I'd never seen him before, and I couldn't understand how like the words he was singing sounded the way we talk. And then I went home and I was listening to Oasis, and I was like, and the words they sing sound like the way they talk.
Exactly.
Why am I putting on this? It's funny.
Why am I from Texas?
Yeah. So we just try and sing the way we speak.
And the thing about that too, really, is that you get locked into that and you don't realise you're doing it. And if you've got a kind of a deep Southern accent, or of course the accent of rock and roll is Elvis, really.
Yeah.
That deep Southern thing. A lot of people don't realise that. It's because that he was from where he was from, and the way he spoke and the way he sang that actually gave rock and roll its accent. So people singing rock and roll in a southern south. What I'm saying, south of America. What am I talking about? Southern states of America. If you don't use that accent, it doesn't seem authentic somehow.
Yeah.
Because that's where it started.
Yeah.
It's great. But I think it's brilliant. And another thing I noticed too is that rap particularly lends itself to Northern Ireland accent. I don't know why, but when I hear people using a Northern Ireland accent when they're rapping, it sounds much better than it does English people or Welsh people or Scottish people. It sounds much better because it's actually close to an American accent.
Yeah, there's a rapper from Lurgan, actually does quite well, called The Duke.
Is he good, is he?
Yeah, he gets played on radio and stuff quite often.
Well, tell him to send me something. I haven't heard of him.
He supported Beyonce and N-Dubs and
tell him why. Ask him why I do not know about him. Tell me to send me in stuff, and I'll play it certainly.
Maybe we'll do a hip hop song.
Okay, do another one for it, because I think it's good to do as much as you can.
Okay.
What is this now?
This is our newest one. We're hoping to release this as our next single, whatever it's called, Hollywood Ending.
Okay. As in, Hollywood, as in 1 L or 2 L's?
I count you down.
There's Rory McIlroy again.
Yeah. Don't see the point in pretending that life worked out the Hollywood ending, but I still love you, and every time I see you my palms go sweaty and love is breaking through. We've gotta get out of here. We've gotta get out of here. We've gotta get out of here tonight. We've gotta get out of here. We've gotta get out of here. We've gotta get out of here tonight. I don't see the point in pretending that life worked out the Hollywood's ending, but I still love you, and every time I see you my thoughts go heavy, for I know you feel it too. We've gotta get out of here. We've gotta get out of here. We've gotta get out of here tonight. We've gotta get out of here. We've gotta get out of here. We've gotta get out of
What's that song called again?
Hollywood Ending.
It's nice, that. You've got an interesting kind of. You've got a nice sound. It's kind of You've got an interesting floating quality about it. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's very, very smooth. Just kind of just glides along top of a wave. Like it's really nice, that. And that's particularly your Carissa. Nice backing vocals there. You're doing most of it, and the piano is nice too. And you're all good. But of course, you got to. When you're in the studio like this, you'd be a louder band.
Oh yeah, we normally have the full kit and rest. There's no electric guitar or anything. No, we're not like.
Because sometimes you have to explain that when people come in here that they're not an acoustic band. You're not an acoustic band.
No.
But you kind of have to be in here because we can't use the big drums and stuff. But it sounds great. Sounds great. And do you do many gigs?
We
No.
used to play. I used to play gigs on my own, and then I started getting Matthew and Patrick to come with me.
Well, you're kind of a singer-songwriter guy.
Yeah, well, I tried my best, and then we soon realised that wasn't working. And went to.
You kind of know when that's not working, don't you?
Yeah. When people boo. And then we went to the studio to record the single, and that's whenever we became a band. We just made up our name that day whenever we were in the studio, and then from there we've only done like 4 or 5 gigs. We've got one next Friday though in the Pavilion.
Well, where?
In the Pavilion.
Where's that?
Ormer Road, isn't it?
Yeah, we're somewhere.
Next Friday.
Next Friday at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
£5 on the door.
All right. All right. A drink provided as well.
Who knows?
So, do you enjoy doing gigs, or Now, tell me this. You say you made a record. Now, a lot of people don't bother doing that now. In many ways, they just record themselves and they put it on the internet, wherever it is. Did somebody come along to you, or did you just get a bit of money together, or what happened? But people are interested in how this is done.
Yeah, well, we've done everything the wrong way around. In a way, we the first thing we done as a band was a record, because we knew a guy who was a producer.
Did you have to pay any money?
No, he just let us do it off the fact that he liked us.
How lucky were you? Yeah.
I know. Right. Yeah. So we done our record first, and then we done our photo shoot, and then we had our first practice.
Well, that's not normally the way this is done.
No, that's what we were saying to the photographer. Is like, what do you guys sound like? Don't have a clue.
So, have you got a website?
Yeah, there's a few ways you can get to us. You can get to nopicturepolicy.com.
Yeah.
And then there's the facebook.com/nopicturepolicy.
Okay.
Or to get a free copy of Bubbles, you can go to nopicturepolicy.bandcamp.com.
.bandcamp.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Free.
Right. So what about the name No Picture Policy? Where did that come out of?
We have this friend, John, who likes to consider himself our manager.
But he's not, of course.
He's our friend. And he wanted to come down to the studio. He's going to kill us. He will
kill you.
Yeah. He wanted to come to the studio to take pictures. And I said to the producer, Danny, can John come down and take some photos? And he said, no, there's strictly a no picture policy. And I was lying there going, that's the best name ever for a band.
Uh-huh.
We'll take that.
All right, then. Will you do another one for us? Well, do another couple if you don't mind.
Okay.
Can you do 4?
Yeah, we can.
Do one more and then do another one after that.
Okay. We're gonna do we'll do Bubbles now.
Oh, do please. Yes.
But it'll sound slightly different, obviously.
Ah, so you've got the old Cabo Distro.
I do. We couldn't bring the brass band from the.
Oh no, of course record. You can't. No, that's one of the things that you have to be aware of. Coming in to do a song that you've recorded, it always sounds different. But I love the song.
Thanks very much.
Get rid of that Cabo Distro.
Sounds right. Let's go. What your friends tell me is true. You already know I fancy you. And if what your friends tell me is true, I don't have a chance with you. And yeah, whatever. I know you could do so much better than me. You're a girl and I'll never get you. Basically, just too fit for me. And when the sun comes up to start my day, I get so scared and I don't know what to say. I'm listening to Elton John. You're always in my mind, in your song. And when the sun comes up and I open my eyes, you're the girl I'll think of, the one that makes me smile.
day goes on and you come my way, yeah. I get so scared and I don't know what to say, yeah. What my heart tells me is true. Basically, you're beautiful. What my heart tells me is true. Basically, you're wonderful. And yeah, whatever. I know you could do so much better than me. And I'm a boy you'd never have, 'cause basically, you're far too good for me. And then the sun comes up to start my day. I get so scared and I don't know what to say. Still listening to Elton John. You're always in my mind, in your song. And when the sun comes up and I open my eyes, you're the girl I'll think of, the one that makes me smile. And then the day goes on and you come my way, yeah. I get so scared and I don't know what to say, yeah. What your friends tell me is true. You already know I fancy you.
Bubbles, No Picture Policy. Now that's a good song, that, but that's a particularly good record. It's very well produced. Who produced that? Was it the engineer, the producer guy?
Danny Ross, his name is.
Very, very good.
He's younger than us. He's only maybe...
You mean what, 15?
He's 19, is he? Or 20?
What age are you people?
The three, like Patrick, on Matthew and myself, are 21.
Yeah.
And Carissa is 17.
Oh, for God's sake. Just a mere baby.
Just a baby.
No, you say you can get a copy of that on Bandcamp. What was that again?
NoPicturePolicy.bandcamp.com.
You can download that?
Yeah, for free.
No Picture Policy. It's well worth having a listen to because the record is really good. No Picture Policy. Sorry.
Even if you go onto NoPicturePolicy.com,
yeah,
there's a link to it from there.
All right, okay.
There's a link to everything, Facebook.
No Picture
Twitter.
Policy, just NOPACTURE, what it sounds like, POLICY.com.
Yep.
And you're playing next Friday in the Pavilion.
That's it.
£5 at the door.
I think so. So it's not for us. It's a showcase.
But you'll get a wee bit of it.
Oh, I like to think so.
50p a man.
That's probably about right.
Listen, thank you for coming in, and you're very fresh, and you're very good, and I know you're going to do well. And I mentioned earlier that the Wonder Villains, they had a record out which I thought was similarly good about a year ago, and now it looks as if it's going to be a hit from Derry. So there you are. You see, it could be a sleeper yet, and you get more ammunition to get you a lot more in the breach. And the best of luck to you. And I'm sure there are people listening here who would give you a hand. Maybe perhaps someone out there could maybe help you along a bit. So thank you for coming in, and God bless you.
Thank you.
What are you going to do now? Will you do another wee one for us?
Yep. We'll do our song called Bus Stop. It's probably our oldest song.
Isn't it that easy doing this?
It's good fun.
For God's sake. That could be easier. All right then. Thank you. See you later.
1, 2, 3, 4. Meet me at the bus stop. I hope this never stops. I wanna take you there tonight. We'll go to the city. Everything there's so pretty, but nothing there is as beautiful as you. And in the shadow of the night, you look beautiful tonight. If I escape the world, I'll take you with me up until the stars, and then you'll see it was almost perfect. Then you kiss me, I've fallen for you. Back here in the real world, I wish you
I'll be gone. Gone, gone, gone. Really gone. Gone, gone, gone. 'Cause you done me wrong. And everyone that you meet, baby, as you walk down the street, baby, will ask you why you walking all alone and why you're on your own. And just say I'm gone, 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 'cause you done me wrong. Oh, now come on, yeah. And if you change your way, baby, you might get back to stay, baby. You better hurry up, you don't wanna be alone, or I'll be gone. Gone, 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 really gone, 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 'cause you done me wrong. You done me wrong, now, now. Some sunny day, baby, when everything seems okay, baby, you wake up and find that you're alone, 'cause I'll be gone. Gone, 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 really gone, 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 'cause you done me wrong. You done me wrong. You done me wrong. Well, 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 well,
That's haven't heard that for a while. That's Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. I didn't know it was on. It's called Gone, Gone, Gone. Done, moved on. Grammatically incorrect, but what can I say? Thank you to No Picture Policy. People writing in Paul Connolly. He says, great call to get that band on. What's their name again? No Picture Policy. Best music on Radio Ulster so far and live as well. That's from Bootser, who, funnily enough, he describes himself as an ex-Dusty Bluebell. Now, that's very interesting because I'm talking to Jimmy Ellis, of course, talking to Jimmy earlier on about Too Late to Talk to Billy, which is one of the most important TV programmes ever made in Northern Ireland. But there was another programme made about the Dusty Bluebells, about the same period, around about the 70s. A bunch of kids were all growing up together, and then they came back about 20 years later and went to see what they were all doing again. So that's an old, a very popular programme. So he's one of those. When I say he's one of those, you know what I mean. And Ita Mackerlane said, I am a 50-plus young thinking and looking woman. That's a great band, you're so Casey. No Picture Policy, great name, great songs. I'm going to the Pavilion Bar next Friday. That's Ita Mackerlane. Ita, get down there. Get down with the kids. Have a pint of stout. It's every man for himself. Also, mundane matters here. Our wee dog has gone missing from Abbeyville Street in White Abbey, it says here. She's a wee Labrador stroke collie with white feet. Really worried that she has no collar or nothing. Thank you, Gerry. And there's a number. So a wee dog, a wee black Labrador collie with white feet, distinctive enough. No collar or nothing. Gentleman writes to me, he was talking about, what's this? It's true you don't, if it's true you don't like Scotland. Well, you can't say you don't like a country, but I do. I don't like Scotland. And rightly so. I mentioned your show to the inmates here at the Royal Glasgow Infirmary for the no longer able to fend for themselves and can't use the telephone. They've all tuned their beds in. All this talk of hard men and the big man wreaking revenge has put flame to the inmates' want of aiming all their manly passions into being behind the losing team, whether it be Scottish or anything else involving Scottish victory over the man in the next invalid cot. I shall have to slip my nurse a quick fiver and instruct my him, her, it to poison them all with enemas of cocodamol, but I shall fear not, for according to the Ken the Bruce Forsyth show, which I sneaked a peek at this morning, there is a quote, revenge game between Queen of the South Dumfries and some other stragglers, and all being well, there will be an Egyptian stadium-style gladiatorial feud tomorrow. I hope it doesn't spread to the Scottish League, and a huge call of the indigenous species. Why, oh why must the show go on? Nurse, find me a different bed, a quiet one, preferably like last time in the basement with the lights shut off. There's a man in bed in a hospital in Scotland who I fear, by the sound of it, may not get out of it.
All right there, boys. We rolling, Fred?
Yes, Fred, we're rolling.
Wrote this song about a good friend of mine, Donnie Fritz, and Dennis Hopper, and Johnny Cash, and Billy Swan, and Dennis Lindy, and Ramblin' Jack Elliott had a lot to do with it. And then there's Farrell and Norbert Putnam, David Briggs,
Get on with
Jared
it.
Kerrigan, Jerry Shook, Norman Blake, Chris Gantry, Mickey Newberry.
All right.
Maybe me. I guess my father. A lot of people I can't mention because I can't remember what I'm doing now. But they're all still looking.
See him wasted on the sidewalk in his jacket and his jeans, wearing yesterday's misfortunes like a smile. Once he had a future full of money, love and dreams, which he spent like they was going out of style. And he keeps right on a-changing for the better or the worse, searching for a shrine he's never found, never knowing if believing is a blessing or a curse, or if the going up was worth the coming down. He's a poet, he's a picker, he's a prophet, he's a pusher, he's a pilgrim and a preacher, and a problem when he's stoned. He's a walking contradiction, partly truth and partly fiction, taking every wrong direction on his lonely way back home. He has tasted good and evil in your bedrooms and your bars, and he's traded in tomorrow for today, running from his devil's lord and reaching for the stars, losing all he loved along the way. But if this world keeps right on turning, for the better or the worse, and all he ever gets is older and around, from the rocking of the cradle to the rolling of the hearse, the going up was worth the coming down. He's a poet, he's a picker, he's a prophet, he's a pusher, he's a pilgrim and a preacher, and a problem when he's stoned. He's a walking contradiction, partly truth and partly fiction, taking every wrong direction on his lonely way back home. Yeah, there's a lot of wrong direction on the lonely way back home.
That's Chris Christopherson at the start, rambling on incoherently, and that's a song called The Pilgrim, Chapter 3, featuring Emmylou Harris and friends. That's from an album called The Pilgrim, a celebration of Chris Christopherson, all his songs covered by different people except when he talks at the start. Gerry, that wee band are class, love them singing in their own accent, they sound great. Yes, they are great. Just tuned in, wondering what happened to Gerry's usual wild music. This is great. Thank you for that lovely music. Quite a change from the usual rubbish emanating from the BBC. Thank you, Brian. Gerry, would you please wish Rosaline Kennedy a happy 60th birthday this Sunday from the Dog Rough String Band. Ronnie says that was really good, enjoyable, fantastic music. That is as good as the rest of the music coming out of Northern Ireland. It certainly is. Good luck to the band with their new single. Very enjoyable show. Will the band set be on your podcast? No. But we can't play music on our podcast. Some kind of arcane rules, whatever way it works out. We can't do that. Something to do. Oh, God knows what it's about. Happy birthday to my daughter Catherine from her mum Marie. Now, I'd love to put music in the podcast, but we just can't. It's something to do with rights or something like that. Gerry, can you please tell me when the Billy play will be on the BBC? Right, I'm going to tell you because it's quite complicated. So what happens is on Sunday night at 9 o'clock on BBC Two Northern Ireland. Now I urge you. You might think I'm going on too much about this, but this is really special. And I think if you want to find out who you are basically and where we come from, you have to look back and you have to look at 30 years old drama of quality like this. On 9 o'clock, there's a documentary about the Billy plays called Talking to Billy. It's on Sunday night on BBC Two at 9 o'clock, and then immediately after that. At 9:30, the first of the Billy plays, Too Late to Talk to Billy. That's on next Sunday night. That was first broadcast in 1982. Then a year later, they did another one, which was called A Matter of Choice for Billy. And that will be seen on Sunday, February 12th, which is Sunday week, at 9 o'clock on BBC Two Northern Ireland. And then a year later, in 1984, they did the last one, or maybe it's not the last one, maybe it's another one in the breach, I don't know, because there's a bit of talk about that. It's called A Coming to Terms for Billy. That's on Sunday, February the 19th, so you can see them all. They're all quite long, about an hour and a half. And then all next week at 5 to 12 each day, there's Let's Talk About Billy, 5-minute pieces of people who were affected by the plays. See you tomorrow. Goodbye. Monday, sorry. Bye.